Hey folks, Fernando doing our video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this case talking about inflation, recession, and what this means to you. I was watching this clip from John Oliver's show, which, yeah, of course, you know what this guy is and what he stands for and what he's actually doing in TV, but he has an actually decent clip. He's not really addressing the true main cause of inflation because he tries to portray it as if it's a number of factors, not just one thing. Well, there is one thing that by far is the main reason why you have the inflation you have right now in the United States specifically, which is an insane amount of government spending. So all other countries did spend in your behalf, right? No matter where you are, especially if you're looking at some of the more developed countries in the world, they did this to some extent. In the case of the United States, it was insane the way in which the government spent money in your behalf, mostly so as to benefit the people that own their assets, which is the elite. So the idea that this is, it's just some number of factors, that it's not all that simple. Well, yes, all factors do come into play. There is just one huge factor, which is insane amount of government spending years ago. But let's see what he's saying, and it's actually kind of funny.
Of last year.
The bottom line, I don't think Powell needs to slam the brakes on the economy. Despite what you hear from the inflationists in the media, the weight of the evidence is finally going Powell's way. Team Transitory is going to win. I say stop freaking about inflation.
Okay, setting aside the...
So, yeah, the man is an absolute shill. He knew that it was lying through his teeth. But, I mean, this guy has done this before so many times. Anyone that takes him seriously is really poorly informed. This guy has lied to people time and again over the years. Anyway.
He's speaking with intensity level there, best described as Patty LaPone admonishing a rude audience. This clip, much like Jim Cramer himself...
That was his take back in the day when he was still peddling the bullshit about inflation is transitory. These are key words. These are the memos. They literally get emails with key words that they have to remember and repeat. Politicians and the people in the media that work for the politicians and basically for the elites, they have these keywords that they have to repeat. So inflation is transitory. That was the message. That was the key word not that long ago. Now that, of course, is something that's falling apart.
6 months later, doing a full 180 with a very different
6 months later.
I think that Powell may not understand. We got to break this. We got to break it now, because this was the week where you realized that it is just inflamed and it is not going away. And I was just kind of look, I was shocked. I just didn't know that it was as bad as it is. It's in every aisle. The inflation's in every aisle.
Wow, that was a pretty dramatic...
So the inflation is in every aisle. It's on every aisle. Dear God, inflation. Yeah, it's not what...
Big turnaround. He went from loudly unconcerned about rising prices going on with this expression right here. That is not the fake. A lot of smart people and Jim Cramer read this situation wrong.
No, this would be a lie. Because it's not that smart people read this wrong. Smart people lied to you, lied to your face, saying that it was transitory when they knew perfectly well that it wasn't, okay? So that's what they do. These professional shills, they lie to your face. This man does it all the time. I mean, go back and watch some of these edited videos where they put together all of the lies he said and all of the ways in which he deceived people that take him seriously. You shouldn't be making any serious decisions by what a professional shill says.
As one Wall Street Journal columnist has said, economic models that worked for decades broke down during the pandemic, and alternatives have yet to emerge. Now, one thing that...
It's not that we don't know what to do, that there's nothing that works, there's no model. The model is very simple. If you lock everyone in their homes, if you shut down the entire planet except for the richest, most powerful people in the world and their companies and what benefits them, and you destroy the hardworking people options in terms of employment, jobs, if you close down restaurants, street stores, if you make everything about buying stuff online and benefiting the largest retailers in the planet, and everything is about benefiting the elite, and besides that, you say you're going to be helping the average guy on the street by spending money in his behalf and giving that money to, again, the same elite that is benefiting from all of this, it's not that there's a broken mold or there's no plan for something like this, there's no precedent of this. No, you actually knew perfectly well what you were doing all along. You're just bullshitting people into saying, oh, I don't know what's going on. What happened here? It was transitory.
Broke down during the pandemic, and alternatives have yet to emerge. Now, one thing that would really help is if we knew the extent to which this is a supply or a demand problem, if it's more about too much money or not enough stuff. Because
it is about too much money. It's the bullshit, again, more bullshit from this guy. There's not enough stuff. There is enough stuff. The thing is that money isn't worth a damn because you printed so much of it, you gave so much of it to the richest people on the planet, now you have to pay for it. That's the way this works. That's the way the economic system we have in place right now works, especially in the United States. The idea of spending trillions of aid for COVID and this, and you maybe got a few bucks, right? But this is like me pointing a gun at your face, stealing your wallet, and maybe taking $200 and giving you $2 back. Oh, you gave me $2. Thank you. You're giving me free money. No, I already stole your wallet. I stole $200 from you. I'm just giving you $2 back. I stole, $198 nonetheless, okay? This idea that because of a little bit of a handout that you got, that the robbery of the entire history of mankind, basically what you saw here happen, did not take place, that is not correct.
if it is too much money, the Fed can impact that pretty easily.
Oh yes, how is it that the Fed is going to be impacting that so easily?
What they'd want to do is raise interest rates significantly enough to curb spending and...
Oh, okay, so it's just about, you increase the interest rate so that money becomes more expensive, meaning more expensive to borrow, and that's going to be fixing inflation. Right. Now, the problem with that is no one's going to be borrowing money anymore. Especially, you know what? Because sometimes people don't have an option of borrowing money. It means that borrowing money is going to be more expensive for you, for me, for the average people, not for the elite that already gave themselves all the money they could possibly want and they're benefited. And now guys, the thing with this is the system is always the same. They print money for themselves. They make themselves money. It's like me I push the play button and I turn on my computer, push the on button in my printer, and I start printing money for myself. Now you have to work for it because you can't print money. The only way in which you're going to be affording that, the only way in which you're going to be compensating for the money I printed was not your own printer. You don't have one. You cannot print your own money. The way in which you pay for that is with your sweat, blood, and tears, with your work, with your labor. That's how we pay for this. That's how we pay for the money they gave themselves. If you don't fully understand what I'm talking about here, look into it a little bit more. You'll finally see what I'm saying.
Growth, but not so aggressively that it would then trigger a painful recession. But
Oh.
if it's about not enough stuff...
Right, so that painful recession thing. Well, when is a recession not a recession? When we change the definition of what a recession is. So when you see 2 quarters of the economy shrinking, that's by definition a recession. When the economy shrinks for 2 consecutive quarters, that's always been by definition what a recession is. So you're seeing a recession right now, even though they changed the meaning of the word. Look, guys, I've gone through this myself. You that follow the channel for a long time know that this is the thing I saw myself back in Argentina. The reason why I wrote this book is the Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse. You know what they did here? They banned the word inflation from the government. The government for a full decade could not use the word inflation. You ask the Minister of Economy of Argentina, what are we doing about the inflation? We have the highest inflation on the planet after Venezuela. We're always second or third highest inflation in the world. The country with the highest inflation on the planet, always top 2, top 3. There's no inflation in Argentina. What are you, insane? No, there's no inflation in Argentina. Why? Well, because we have these bullshit numbers of inflation that are, not as bad, when in reality, the true inflation is, a lot worse than what they admit it to be. So you have this, gaslighting, this line to your face and telling you, oh, no, there's no inflation. And it's the same thing in the United States. When people, back in the day, when I wrote this, and people said, that would never happen in the United States. We're not freaking third world country, Argentina. That would never happen here. You're seeing it right now. You have the fucking inflation right now, eating you alive, destroying the middle class in the United States as I speak right this moment, and you have the lying to your face, the telling of, it's not a recession. Why? We changed the definition of what a recession is. But the same guy said it was a recession just a few months ago. No, that same guy says no, now it's not a recession. No, 2 quarters. No, it doesn't matter. It's more like how people feel. It's more like how you identify. It's kind of like your gender. Do you feel gender fluid or part of this rainbow spectrum? Male, female, and I'm kind of like, whoa, somewhere. It's so confusing. It's what you want it to be. That's what recession is. You bastard, you're lying to me. Of course they are. That's what they do.
Instead, if the major issues are things like supply chain disruptions, the effect the Fed can have is drastically reduced because the Fed can't stop the war in Ukraine.
And blaming war in Ukraine. I have a very clear stance about the bastard Vladimir Putin invading the neighboring nation. Now, he's not to blame for the inflation in the United States and pretty much most part of the world. Does it help that you have a country at war? And yes, Ukraine does produce an important amount of food, and that is not ideal. But you realize that inflation started even before the war got to the point that we saw at the start of the year. Actually, the invasion started in 2014, but that's not the point of this video. You realize that the inflation is caused by the spending of the government specifically to benefit the elite that basically controls them. The politicians that you vote for, they work for them. That's simply the way it is. And when people think that, oh no, that's you don't see it. There's a lot of people that don't understand. There's a lot of people that think that corruption is bad elsewhere. The champion of corruption is the United States. The idea of lobbying is pretty much illegal in any other country that I can think of. Any other developed country where you put in practice what you guys call lobbying, that lands you in jail. You have to hide that and not make it known because it is painfully illegal and you will be jailed for that. It is specifically illegal for you to take money from companies and then benefit those companies. That's called lobbying in the United States, and that's perfectly legal. They have dedicated teams of thousands of people working all day long in DC lobbying for different companies. Lobbying meaning buying politicians. This is the reality, guys. This is what you're looking at. And they decided that, yes, it was a great opportunity to make this great reset. And you know what? We're going to be changing things. We're going to be making the entire population poor so as to benefit like never before. That's going to be the strategy. And you're now worried about this, right? You're now worried about the economic aspect, and you definitely should be. But remember, I've gone through this before, and the two main concerns people in Argentina had were, first, number one, crime. Insecurity, danger in the street, the level of crime and violence on the street, that was number one. Number two was always inflation and the economy being crap. That was always our number two. But number one is going to be always this stuff I wrote in Street Survival Skills, the stuff you saw addressed in the previous video about the store owner defending himself. But you guys are still in this moment. You're looking at it, oh man, we're becoming poor. Stuff is expensive. Stuff is uncomfortably expensive. And believe me, a few months from now, when you see prices going up even more, and even though they deny it, your wallet will not lie, the bill will not lie, you'll realize that you are starting to look at this. The consequences of the social aspect of the poverty going up, the quality of life being reduced drastically for everyone, and more poverty and more desperation and more people willing to do anything so as to get a few bucks, you'll realize why, for us, it's always been the main priority, keeping us safe, instead of the economic aspect of it, which is always the number two. So those two, very bad. But of course, being safe, yeah, as bad as being poor is, if you end up in that position because of the inflation that was released upon you and you're now suffering, that sucks. being dead or having a loved one hurt or dead sucks even more. Folks, that's gonna be all for now. You have my books available in the links below. You find them in Amazon, and you have the channel, which is over 10 years I've been covering these kind of topics over the years. See you in the next video, guys. Take care.